Welcome to I Can Science That. Today, let's see if we can science the far side of the moon. This is the second video in a two-part series requested by Alan. Alan has challenged me to look at some evidence that has led him to the conclusion that the moon landings were faked. Last time, we looked at a completely frivolous claim that the DSCOVR satellite was faked using VR software. To his credit, after seeing things from my point of view in that previous video, Alan has agreed that those claims were indeed unfounded. But today we have a much better claim. The claim tonight is that images of the far side of the moon have changed over the years. We can't go to the far side of the moon ourselves, but we can still test this claim. The claim is that the images are different, and those we have access to. If we can confirm that those images have changed, that would be strong evidence that one or more of those images was faked. On the other hand, what should we conclude if the pictures all line up? Would that prove that the images are real? As I said in the previous video, I would not presume to tell you what to think. Instead, I'd like to use this opportunity to talk about how to think. I'm going to use this example to contrast objectivity and bias. Speaking of objectivity, pre-registration has become a new trend in scientific publication. The idea is that you lay out your hypothesis and your testing methods before you begin your research. And that is what I'm going to try to do here tonight. My working hypothesis is that all these images taken over many decades by different space agencies have all been real. That being the case, the pictures should show substantial similarity. First, I'm going to go and find the images on my own. I expect to find some from the Apollo missions. I will look for the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter for a more contemporary view. In addition, Alan cites some of the DSCOVR images that captured the moon passing in front of the Earth. And if I remember correctly, there should be some very old images from a Russian mission, as well as some more contemporary ones from the Chinese Space Agency. Once we have these images collected, we'll go looking for unique craters and other specific structures that we can identify on the surface of the moon. We'll compare these structures and craters between the different photos and see if they line up. And finally, I will watch the relevant portion of the FlatFact video and see if she has seen something that perhaps I've missed. Let me repeat, I haven't done any of this yet. These images behind me, I don't have those yet. I'll be putting those in during edit, which happens much later. I'm telling you this now to ensure my own objectivity. I can be certain that whatever conclusions I draw from this are not based on ad hoc or post hoc excuses, because I'm outlining my procedures and my expectations up front. Before I begin, there are some pitfalls I expect to encounter, and laying them out now ensures that I am not inventing these as some kind of post hoc excuse. First, the color and contrast of these various pictures is going to vary dramatically. These are images taken by different technologies and different types of cameras, and so we do not expect them to look the same. We expect them to show the same objects. And secondly, these images were taken from dramatically different distances, and that will cause lens compression. I have a video on that from way back on my channel you might want to check out if you haven't heard of that before. As I said, I haven't watched the FlatFact video yet. Based on the previous episode, you may find that surprising. So far, I've only watched the portion that I already showed you. In keeping with my pre-registration approach, let me tell you what I expect to find when I do watch that video. I expect that FlatFact will be using many of the same images that I will be using. However, somehow FlatFact is going to come to a very different conclusion than I will. My guess is that FlatFact's analysis will prove to be neither thorough nor objective. For now, that's the intro. I'll be back later with some images of the moon. We're back. I have now collected a handful of images that I'm happy with. Let me show you what I've got and where I got them from. This is my list, and you'll find all of these down in the description down below. This is what I did. Just come here to Google, say far side of the moon, and then hit images. And now You get a bunch of hits here, some of which are going to be relevant and some are not. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for high resolution images of the far side of the moon, and I want it from a reputable source. I want it as close as possible to something that would be considered authoritative. And I want it to document where the image is coming from. So let's take a look at an example. Like here's Wikipedia. Wikipedia is a great place to look, but seems a little easy. So here's one, nasa.gov. I believe I end up using this one. We'll just open that up, and if you click, it'll take you to the website. And this is going to be for the LRO, the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. And indeed, it says where it's going to come from. This is the LROC WAC orthographic projection. Here's the larger version of the image. You can even kind of see there's a seam running right down the middle here. And you say, aha, it's not a photo. No, of course that's not a photo. That is the LRO flies around the moon and scans it. And so it makes strips. Right? It films strips of the moon, and then they assemble those strips into the entire package. And from that, they've made a complete mapping of the entire, all the way around the moon. And it's our highest resolution pictures of the moon. That's how you do Google Maps, by the way. If you ever wondered, like, how does Google Maps work? That's how it works. What you can do, you can just right-click and save the image right off of there. So this is one of the images I'm going to use. Let's take a look at all of them real quick. This is for the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. These are from the WAC. They call it the WAC Mosaic. It's a mosaic, so it's made of those strips, and you can see in here. Let's zoom up real close. You can see the strips that are made. These like longitude lines on the moon. These are strips made by combining those images, and that's why you see that in those. Here we have one from Aerospace America. They cropped it at the top and bottom, but it's pretty high resolution. And this one I wanted because it comes from the Chinese Space Agency. Here's another one from the Chinese Space Agency. Here is the Russian Space Agency. I mentioned that they were the first to take these photos of the moon, and they're not super high quality, that's for sure. And the Apollo missions. This one comes from the Apollo missions. Okay, and we'll be using the near. This is the near side where all the landings were. Don't need that. We'll be using this side. This is the far side. And of course, we definitely mentioned the DSCOVR satellite. So those are my images. What are we going to do next is we're going to throw those all into GIMP and take a look at them and try to identify some useful features on there. Why don't we start with the LRO? Here's the LRO image, and let's compare it with the DSCOVR image. Let's start with that. One of Alan's particular claims that he mentioned was, I believe, a comparison of this image from the DSCOVR satellite, and we're going to compare it to the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. And we can compare, are those the same image? Well, do you see anything in this that immediately catches your eye? I do. I will draw your attention to, let's use this tool. I'll draw your attention to this, kidney-shaped crater with a highlight in the middle of it. So we've got that, odd-shaped crater with a highlight. It's got a high contrast in that image. Hopefully we will be able to find that. I think this crater here, it definitely very high contrast, so that stands out. That'll be easy to find. And the other one, this like star-shaped burst on the moon, it definitely stands out. We can see these lines radiating out. Here, I would say, is the kidney-shaped crater with the highlight in the middle, and the very dark crater is right there. And if those were the case, then we would expect to find somewhere off to the right-hand side that star-shaped thing, and it should be right here. And as I mentioned before, the contrast is very, very different. All right, so what do I see? Right here is the central crater, and I see these radiating outward like starfish lines on there. And most of the other craters, I'm not seeing that on most of these other craters. So that seems like a unique feature. I'm saying that is that is clearly that, and this little starburst thing is right here. All right, so let me just rotate this Discover image a little bit to help us see how that works. I think that's about right. Let me see here. I'll take an angle. Oops. Take an angle from this crater to that crater, and let's just move that over to here and see if we got the same angle. Okay, I need to rotate this one a little more. Angle from there to the little starburst. And if we take it over, whoops, missed. Take it over to there, that should line up with the little starburst. So yeah, definitely there's 3 identifiable features that are shared by both images, and their relative relationships are good. So I would say those images, they match. Let's do Apollo 16. Let's do that one. Okay. Now, are there any unique features we can find in this one? Like, for example, where is this? Where is this in here? And yeah, you might say, I don't see those. I don't see them right away. There are some unique features I can see in this image, and I'm having trouble finding them in the other one. So the Apollo and the LRO, we're having trouble lining those up. So what do we see? So there's like sort of like a trio of dark patches here. In particular, this one, I'm seeing a crater, very distinct crater on the dark patch, and then another crater right next to it with a highlight in the middle of that crater. So that looks like something I should be able to identify. We're looking for a dark patch, craters on either side, and let's see if we can find that in this image over here. And yeah, I don't see it. I spent a long time staring at that. I don't see it. What do we do with that? Well, let's stick a pin in that while we go and get the rest of the LRO images. This first one here is the one that faces us normally. And then as you go along like book style, we're going 60 degrees each frame. For example, this very large patch is this patch, and this patch is this patch. So we can see like this bright spot here is this bright spot here. So you can see we're just turning it over. And as we continue to turn, then, let me delete those. We should see this patch has moved further over with the bright patch below it further over, and so forth. So this is the image that's 60 degrees, this is 120 degrees, this is 180 degrees. So this is the one that we've been looking at, right? That's this one with the crater and that distinctive crater with the highlight in it right there. That's this one. But let me draw your attention to this image for a moment. All right, let's grab that one, and I'm going to call that one LRO 2. Now let's compare and see if we can find any of our favorite little shapes between these two images. Here is a crater with a dark splotch with a highlight in the middle. And it's sitting on a dark splotch and right on the opposite side. The opposite side of that dark splotch is another crater. Interesting. The difference, though, is that one of these is upside down from the other. So let's take the one we called Apollo, and let's flip that over. Boink. And now, and now I think we'll see, do a little rotate on this one, and look at that. Here we have the dark patch with the two craters on either side, and the one on the bottom has the highlight. Here's a dark patch with the two craters on either side, and the one on the bottom has a highlight. What else might we see? Just to make certain that's the same one, look at this little crater with a crater, right? Crater with a crater. That is the same thing. What is below it? Another dark patch with a brighter crater right there. And if that's the case, then what else should we find? We should see this crater right here. We should see this series. I'm going to say that is, yeah, I see, like for example, this is very distinctive. It's like a triple. See that triple right there? And there's the triple there, which should mean that's the one right next to it, and then there's one in between. Yes, this is all lining up great. If that's the case, then our kidney-shaped one should be right around here somewhere, or walk our way to it, perhaps, a bit at a time. Right, so this is this. This, oh, it's much farther away than I thought, is this. Let's keep going. How about this? This, like snowman shape, is this one. There we are. We have to keep going. Uh-oh. We're not going to make it. It's off the image. As you can see, that's clearly off the image. What else is unique? Here's a triple. Triple here. Let's see if we can find that. That should be, oh, here it is. Should be right there. Right, and this formation is this formation. These two that overlap right here, it's like snowman, is this snowman. And I want to go down and right from there. It's not much further I can go. There's another snowman with like another snowman right there. Boom, boom, boom. And that should be, well, is it these? Oh, it's this. It's this right there. Okay, so to continue towards, to continue towards our kidney-shaped crater, it's down here. So we're not going to get to that one. But I have absolutely satisfied myself that these images are images of the same thing. The one on the right is taken from much closer to the moon, and the one on the left is an orthographic projection as if it's taken from infinity, or nearly from infinity. Let's see here. Who's next? And I'm going to compare that. Right away I see the starburst, and so I'm going to compare that to the original LRO again. So I've got myself a starburst. I've got the starburst here. I've got possibly this. This is pretty low res, honestly, but that could be the crater with the highlight. And this definitely looks like that. So if that's the case, I would need to rotate L to discover this. Yeah, those are the same. Okay. Oh, look at that. It isn't. That explains it. Okay. We need to rotate this one a little bit more. And now I think we'll see what we're looking at. The Discover image helped me out here. Because we definitely see, let's do a little sketch. We definitely see the starburst shape here. It's the same starburst. And I'm relying on this top angle. This top angle here to get them lined up right. And then once I did that, I started to see the pattern, and I see that this is this, and this is this. That one's not the kidney-shaped one that I was talking about. The kidney-shaped one is over here. All right, and yeah, the same, very, very much the same, same image again. Ah, yes, I remember this one. This is the one I said was actually cropped. They cropped the top and the bottom. But it's high resolution, much higher than the earlier one. Let's see, is there anything identifiable in this image? Oh, sure, I recognize some stuff right away. I've been staring at these long enough now, and you all have been staring at them with me. I think you'll start to see as well. Remember, we had a dark patch with a pair of craters, and one of them had a highlight. So I remember that, and it's not on this LRO image, it's on LRO 2. It is this cluster right here. Notice this shape is right here, and above that shape is this large patch, and I guess above, to the left of that shape is that other patch, and below that shape is another patch. And now that we're oriented, let's look for something that stands out. How about this triple? This triple should be to the right of our patch, our quote patch. Let's move out of the way and try to find a triple that's immediately to the right. Yeah, and so actually, and based on this, again, we find our kidney shape. Let's see if we can identify that in the Chinese image. We're going to work our way towards it. This is here. This is here. And let's go to the right. It's just sort of blank. This looks like a two eyeballs in a face, maybe. It should, oh, there's the two eyeballs. There they are. My gosh, those are pretty obvious. I don't know why I didn't see those. That's pretty obvious. And yet, alas, if we keep on walking, what we're going to find is here's this crater with the two craters, right, with these two craters right there on the corner of it, and that's this, with the two craters on the corner of it. And right there, that is our kidney-shaped crater. So, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much convinced these are the same. These are, separate images of the same thing. Every feature we've looked for, we found that it's either off the edge of the image or it's in the image. I think the only one we didn't do was the original, the old Russian one. All right, that one's going to be hard to make anything out of it. Okay, and maybe what we should start with on the Lunar 3 is to look at all the different aspects that we have for the lunar surface and see if we can find anything that sort of looks like it to begin with. I see this highlight, I see this one, and I see this like 1, 2, 3 patch. That seems like that ought to be something findable, that dark 3 patch. And you all tell me, do you see that anywhere over on the right? Is there anywhere we have like a 3 patch, right? Maybe like, how about 1, 2, 3? Could that be that? In which case, could this be this? And could that perhaps be our old friend, the kidney-shaped crater with a highlight in the middle? So this is this, I'm saying. Yeah, pretty close. Obviously, they're not taken from the exact same position, right? If that wasn't obvious to you, you know, and in hindsight, I don't think I mentioned it. It's one of those things that's like so obvious that I forgot to mention it. But not only do we see that the image on the right is taken from much closer to the moon than the image on the left is. We can see that because it's like, it looks like it's been blown up. We're seeing a smaller amount, right? We're seeing less of the lunar surface on the right than we are on the left. And that means that it was taken from closer to the lunar surface. But the other thing is that, you know, the center points aren't gonna line up, right? Unless you happen to take the photo from the exact same location, and you know, who's gonna do that, right? That's you could take these pictures from anywhere on the far side of the moon. So yeah, they'll be different. But we are definitely identifying those same geographical features, even in this extremely low resolution image from the old Russian mission. It's clearly the same structures. So that's my conclusions. I guess after this, I need to go and watch the FlatFact video next. So I'll throw this into the edit hopper and then come back here maybe tomorrow or maybe even tonight if I have time and watch that FlatFact video.
Apollo 16, NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. They're all like this. I'm not going to show anymore. The spots are different.
Well, I guess that's it then. You heard it right there. The spots are different. That sounds pretty conclusive. She's not going to show us anymore. Why should she? I mean, you can see it right there. The spots are different. But since we're here, I can't help wondering, which spots? These spots right here? We looked at those. Those are the same. Which spots don't match up? Is it these spots? That's a pretty unique formation. And here it is, right here. Pick out the minutest detail of it. Look at how this little thing comes up off the top, complete with this little hook coming off of it. See it? It's there. And below it, we have another spot that's exactly the same in both images. Pick out a little detail. Look at this little hook at the top. Here it is. There's your hook. Look at this bright spot. There's the bright spot. It's right there. These are exactly the same. Even in this extremely low resolution picture here, you can still make it out. It's there. That's that same spot with this weird looking shape above it. There it is. There's the weird shape, complete with the little thing coming off the top. Alan, all joking aside, we agreed we would acknowledge the best available evidence. And FlatFact's claim here doesn't even count as evidence at all. Critical thinking means we don't just accept whatever we're told, especially if it conforms to your pre-existing bias. Critical thinking is what I've just shown you right here. We heard a claim and we checked it. You've got a serious bias. You're convinced that you've been lied to about many things. Well, you've been lied to, all right. You heard FlatFact insist the spots were different while she was showing you these same pictures. You can see the spots right here for yourself. And it's the same spots in every image. I think it's time to acknowledge that all the available evidence shows that the establishment story holds up, and the story of the contrarians does not. It's time to re-examine your bias. I look forward to hearing back from you about how you are holding up your end of the deal. How are you updating your beliefs with this new information? And in what way are you going to go forward and share this with others? I look forward to hearing from you.